Somewhere in the Caribbean there is a road called the Pork Highway. Let that sink in. The Pork Highway, it's not a farm, okay? This is a road, actually the name of the road, Route 184, runs up into the mountains into a city called Guavate. This is in Puerto Rico, okay? Puerto Rico, an island in the Caribbean Sea. And what you find when you get up there is lechon. Now, what is lechon? So lechon is a word that we pretty much use nowadays for roast pork. Originally, that word, lechon, comes from the word leche, Spanish word for milk. Now, this was how we used to call the suckling baby piglets, suckling meaning they were still sucking their mum's teat to get the milk. So they used to do this.
The baby pigs. And I've seen the baby pigs at the butcher's and I'm like, oh my god, this pig is too small, I can't do it. But I don't have any problem doing it with
the adult ones. I've cooked them before, and I mean, come on, pork is one of the most amazing meats on charcoal. Now, lechon is a Puerto Rican culinary legacy. Puerto Rico, an island in the Caribbean Sea, meaning this is a Caribbean legacy. A whole pig gets marinated in adobo, which is garlic, oregano, citrus juice, black pepper, and slow roasted over coals until the meat is tender and that skin is crispy. I don't want to say crunchy, I want to say crispy, because it's still like, it doesn't blister up, it's just flat, but it's crispy, not like when it puffs up. Like, there's a difference. So, up this road into the mountains, you're going to find Lechonera. That's the name of someone that cooks lechon after Lechonera. And they're serving up this amazing roast pork with the Puerto Rican sides. You got the rice and pigeon peas. You got the yuca con mojo, which is like cassava that's been seasoned up. You got the mofongo, which is made from plantain. All typical Puerto Rican side dishes. I know, me loving fire and loving pork, I needed to recreate this dish. So I've not been to the Pork Highway yet. But my first experience of lechon came a few years ago when I was doing a restaurant residency in New York. I queued in the Bronx for 2 hours to eat meat from a trailer. Now, I chose the Bronx in New York because staying in such a diverse city, I wanted to get exposure to somewhere that I hadn't had exposure to before. You know, the Bronx has such a diverse influence, so many different people, but a great influence from places like Puerto Rico and Caribbean islands, which I don't get so much being in London. When you think about Puerto Rico, the food influence from Puerto Rico is the native Caribbean people, it's the Tainos, it's the Arawaks, it's the Africans that came across there, it's the Spanish Criollas, right? Imagine all of that. The flavour profiles and the cooking methods, they're going to be epic. So I just went and stayed there for a couple of weeks and found out about this place called Lechonera La Piranha. I queued 2 hours. They were playing salsa music while we were in the queue, and this guy was roasting his pork in ovens on the streets. And it was street food, right? Not this ridiculousness that people call street food a lot of the time now. Actual food cooked on the street, an oven on the street. And the lechon, well, I want to have it on my Caribbean menu. I love pork, I love cooking with fire, so I think it has to be a part of the way I cook. It's got the native cooking methods of how we used to cook with the Tainos, the original natives that used to be on Caribbean land. So I knew I needed to learn more about his cooking methods. So I want to put it on my restaurant menus this year, but the problem I've got is you never know if you're going to sell a whole pig. So I took the opportunity last year to do it at the biggest meat and fire festival in Europe. So this is what that looked like. And it worked well for a festival because everyone was coming to eat meat and I only had to make one dish. So I had 1.5 pigs that I cooked that day. And it took me a whole day before, 15 hours to cook that. Low and slow over the charcoal. Best way was skin side up first, because I wanted the fat to drip down on the coals and then that goes back up into the meat to flavour it. Then I flipped it to finish off the skin. I can't do that in a restaurant. I can't do a whole pig in a restaurant. So I need to kind of find a workable way to put that on a menu when people come and sit down, because I want them to enjoy this lechon. Now, what I did learn from that cook at Metopia was that centerpiece of the pig, not the shoulder, not the leg, that belly piece, but all the way up, that was one of my favourite pieces, roasted off so nicely. So we're going to do some tests using the same kind of belly piece to see what we can come up with for kind of a restaurant style dish. So firstly, we got our lovely pork belly in our adobo marinade here for a couple of days. I'm cold smoking it to get that smoky flavour and then roasting it off low and slow. Yes, that was the result. 3 hours low and slow, infused by the smoke, just lovely and juicy. This is my restaurant style lechon. This way I can control the portions that I make and don't need to cook a whole pig. Still have that smoky flavour, but of course we need a sauce. This is tamarind smoked fruit sauce. Now, what I did when I was cold smoking the pork bellies, I put some rum soaked raisins in the smoker, smoked them, blended it up with some tamarind. So you've got the sourness of the tamarind and then you've got the sweetness of the raisin to balance it. We're going to take a little bit of some spinach, just been cooked off, and a little bit of garlic butter. So we've got garlic butter notes there, a little bit of freshness from the spinach. And then we're going to take our lovely lechon pieces. I think 3 pieces, and yeah, we're just going to fit them on there nice and gently like that. And of course we need a garnish. Now, how could I not have Dominican pickled onions? I mean, it's like the mango, you know, on a Dominican breakfast, you have the salami and you've got the Dominican pickled onions. I just love the combination of those with some pork, has some sharpness. So let's get those on, and then just got a nice bit of grilled lime to go with this, just to squeeze it over. Now, I don't know where to put it. I think I'm going to need a different plating technique, but perhaps I'm also going to need some fresh herbs on this dish. What do you think? Now, this is just the first iteration of this dish, of my lechon restaurant dish with tamarind smoked fruit. Why don't you hit subscribe if you want to see how this dish comes along. All the progress I'm going to be making, I'm going to be posting it right here on this channel.